Imagine waking up one day and your entire country no longer belongs to you. No war, no warning, just lines drawn on a map thousands of miles away. That's exactly what happened to Africa in the late 1800s. Within just 20 years, nearly an entire continent was taken over, not by one empire but by many. This wasn't exploration, it wasn't civilizing missions. It was something far more calculated. This is the real story of the scramble for Africa and why its consequences still shape the world today. Let's rewind to the late 19th century. Europe was changing fast. Factories were booming. Industries were hungry. They needed raw materials, rubber, gold, diamonds, oil, and Africa had all of it. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Africa was not empty land. It was home to powerful kingdoms, advanced trade networks, and rich cultures like the Ashanti Empire, the Zulu Kingdom, and the Sokoto Caliphate. So how did Europe take control so quickly? It started with a meeting. In 1884, European leaders gathered in Berlin at what's now known as the Berlin Conference. No African leaders were invited, not one. Inside that room, they did something shocking. They divided Africa among themselves, like slicing a cake. Straight lines were drawn across maps, ignoring languages, tribes, and histories. And just like that, borders were created that still exist today. Then came the invasion. European powers raced each other. Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, Portugal. Each wanted the biggest piece. Some used treaties, many used force. One of the darkest chapters? The Congo. King Leopold II claimed it as his personal property, not Belgium's, his. Under his rule, millions of Congolese people were forced into brutal labor to harvest rubber. If they didn't meet quotas, punishments were unimaginable. Historians estimate that millions died during this period. This wasn't colonization, this was exploitation on an industrial scale. Meanwhile, resistance was everywhere. African leaders fought back fiercely, from Samori Toure in West Africa to Menelik II of Ethiopia, who famously defeated Italy at the Battle of Adwa. Ethiopia became one of the only African nations to resist full colonization, but most regions weren't as lucky. By 1900, nearly 90% of Africa was under European control. Twist, 6:30, 9:30. Here's where the story takes a turn, because the real impact didn't end with colonization. In fact, that was just the beginning. Those borders drawn in Berlin, they forced rival groups into the same countries and split others apart. Different languages, different religions, different histories, all trapped inside artificial nations. When African countries finally gained independence in the 20th century, they inherited these broken systems. And the consequences? Political instability, ethnic conflicts, economic struggles. Even today, many of Africa's challenges can be traced back to decisions made in that Berlin room. But here's something even deeper. The scramble for Africa didn't just reshape Africa, it helped shape the modern global economy. European nations grew richer, while African resources were drained. The imbalance created back then still exists today. Ending 9/30/12. So the next time you look at a map of Africa, remember this. Those borders were never meant to unite people. They were meant to control them. The scramble for Africa wasn't just about land. It was about power, resources, and control over millions of lives. But despite everything, Africa didn't lose its identity. Its cultures, languages, and resilience survived through centuries of disruption. And today, the continent is reclaiming its story. Because history isn't just about what happened, it's about what we choose to remember and what we choose to change. Final line. Pause for impact. The scramble for Africa may be over, but its story is far from finished.